Yeah, check. 1, 2. Sweet, sweet and savory. Does everybody hear me okay? Nice and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Raymond Horta, comedian extraordinaire from La Jolla, Texas. Anybody from La Jolla? Sweet, I got a ride home. That's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, who's ready to get this event started? Are you guys ready to have a good time? Are you guys ready to talk about wholesome things? Great stuff, man. Introducing to you today what I like to call the voice of reason in the Valley. Please put your hands together for the master of ceremonies today, my very dear friend and eloquent speaker, Mr. Sergio Sanchez from 710 KURV.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. The Lord is with us. As you can tell, giving me the introduction this morning for you. How you guys doing? Happy Sunday morning. It's good to be with family. You know, the theme I kept hearing all morning long was, wow, I didn't realize there were these many conservatives, these many Trump supporters, these many Republicans in the Rio Grande Valley. That's right. Before we start anything, let me introduce and bring up to the stage for our invocation, Ms. Alma Perez. She's the Hidalgo County Republican, young Republican president. And as in all things that we do, let's start everything with giving everything to the Lord. Start with prayer. So, Ms. Alma.
Good morning. I am so blessed to be here with you. Blessed that I can be who I am without feeling oppressed. I, like many of you, have been a victim of liberal privilege. I had the job any young girl would die to have. I planned, led, and executed many events that happened here in this place. My biggest was of 26,000 people, but it wasn't all I ever dreamed of. I was excluded from many circles, many parties. People didn't talk to me because I proudly stood and still stand for my values that are founded on my rock, who is Jesus. But let me tell you, if you are feeling oppressed at your workplace or within your circle of friends, I pray that the Lord breaks those chains and sets you free. Please stand with me and bow your heads. Lord, thank you for your great love and blessing over our lives. Thank you that your favor has no end, but it lasts for our entire life. Forgive us for sometimes forgetting that you are intimately acquainted with all of our ways, that you know what concerns us, and you cover us as with a shield. We ask for your guidance so that we might walk fully in your blessing and goodness today. We ask that your face would shine on us, that you would open the right doors for our lives and for our loved ones, that you would close the wrong doors and protect us from those who need to walk away from. Establish the work of our hands and bring to fulfillment all that you have given us to do in these days. We pray that you would make our way purposeful and our footsteps firm out of your goodness and love. Give us a heart of wisdom to hear your voice and make us strong by your huge favor and grace. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Lord says, you ask for wisdom. Boy, you talk about one thing, he can give you an abundance. We're going to need a lot of wisdom. And more than prayer, we're going to need a lot of y'all to participate with the local Hidalgo County Republican office. I want to thank our chairwoman, Adrian Peña Garza, her team, all these wonderful precinct chairs, state volunteers, teen Republicans, young Republicans, women, or as I lovingly refer to them, the Republican babes, and we'll hear from one here in a little second. It's hard work, people. It's hard work. And it is thankless, but we need you. All politics is local, school district, city hall, county. For too many years, we have gone with a ballot empty. No Republican, no GOP representation, no competition. That needs to change. We have a full-time Hidalgo County Republican HQ. Please come over, participate, familiarize yourself with a family, see what help they need. Fund it or support it with some sweat equity. Let me bring to the stage a young woman who in the last few months of my chairmanship for the Hidalgo County Republican office back 2014 to 2018, in the last few months, a young voice, Candace Vaughn, reached out to me and said she desperately wanted to start something for teenagers in the Rio Grande Valley, conservative teenagers in the Rio Grande Valley. We need to educate our children. We need to coalesce and let our community see us. And she just wanted to work. She wanted to do something. I said, young lady, I'm about to leave. Adrian Pena Garza, our new chairwoman, courageous. She stepped in and she's going to continue this fight. This HQ that we've opened for the Republicans will remain open. She will continue teaching. You'd reach out to her. I saw Miss Candace Vaughn at CPAC a few days ago for the first time. I got to meet her, hear that young voice, that young lady. And she's got teen Republicans. She's got the club going. They're running strong. They're growing. And now they have an HQ to keep training and bringing more people in. I'd like to present to you the Hidalgo County Teenage Republican President, Candace Vaughn. She has her Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cadence Vaughn, and I'm president and founder of the Hidalgo County Teenage Republicans. For decades, the globalist left has taken control of all of our institutions, ranging from our government, pop culture, social movements, and our education system. It is no question that the left is incredibly privileged when it comes to leading in these aspects. It has become more and more difficult for teenage conservatives such as myself, who are in high school, to step up and speak out on the issues that we care about without receiving tremendous amounts of backlash and hate, or like many cases, being completely banned from the internet. I'm very outspoken on my conservative beliefs, both at school and online. And because of that, I've received thousands of death threats, and so have my parents, and thousands of hate comments, and my classmates have even tried to get me expelled from school just because I love Donald Trump. However, none of this has stopped me from fighting for what I strongly believe in. I'm certain that Gen Z will be the generation to fight for true conservatism. We will fight to bring God back into our schools, and we will continue to stand for the national anthem and respect our flag. We will combat the degradation of our society and stop liberal indoctrination of our youth. We will bring the United States back to its former greatness. The left can cancel us all we want, but we will fight to put God and America first again. And we will fight the disgusting globalist agenda that is trying to take over our society. And I just want to say to everyone here, do not give up on young people. I know it's hard to have faith in us, but do not give up. The Hidalgo County Teen Republicans are putting up a fight here in South Texas, and we will continue the fight once we grow up and go off into our careers. So, as true American patriots, will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you.
Our national anthem this morning from Miss Anita McBroom Bernard Huff. Miss Anita.
Good morning. I'd like you to stand if you're not already standing, and if you like to sing this anthem, please join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
American citizenship. What a blessing to be an American citizen. It's only appropriate that we're doing this meeting this morning with our friend Donald Trump Jr. and all the Republican and conservative libertarian family here in South Texas. What is it, about a mile and a half from the Hidalgo Bridge? We're not that far from the U.S.-Mexican border. There at this moment, thousands of individuals who are wanting to get across the border, many of them illegally, to get here, because this flag that we've pledged allegiance to, this anthem that we sang, you know, to them it represents hope, opportunity, liberty, all those things that they did not have in their homeland. We see, I'm sure y'all have seen plenty of coverage from Cuba, all the people that are marching the streets wanting liberty. And they're marching with the American flag. An American flag that native-born American children, U.S. citizens, white, black, Latino, yellow, whatever color they are, we've done a very poor job, probably around 2 generations. It's something I talk a lot about on the radio. Probably about 2 generations now. We've done a very, very poor job instilling in our children an appreciation for our unique American culture and heritage that is rooted in liberty. That's why I keep saying, learn it, live it, and teach it. My heart swells with pride to see Candace, to see the young Republicans. Yes, even see Joacim. When I see Joacim with the young Republicans, my heart swells with pride. Even you, Joacim, I love you, brother. Because they represent the opportunity for us to take our country back. We must. You see, it's amazing how south of the border, overseas, in Cuba, they see our American flag, our society as a beacon of hope, an opportunity, and yet our children have been brainwashed and poisoned to think otherwise. And it's going to be up to us. That's why at the beginning I said, friends, you need to run for office. You need to run for school board. You need to run for city hall. And you parents and taxpayers, you guys are going to have to police the poison of critical race theory that is already poisoning the minds of our children and in corporate America as well. We have a lot of work to do, friends. And you now have a permanent Republican HQ on 23rd Street in McAllen. Please look into that. Let me bring to the stage, I lovingly refer to her as one of our Republican babes, Hilda Garza de Shazo, our Hidalgo County GOP Secretary and former candidate for District 41 and one of our proud Republican women, Hilda.
Thank you, Sergio. I'd like to take just a moment to bring Anita, our national anthem singer, back to the stage. Anita, would you join me? No, we're not going to sing again. I just want to say a few things. I want to make sure that you know that Anita is my co-chorus member. Anita and I sing in the Sweet Adelines of the Magic Valley Chorus here in the Rio Grande Valley. So if any of you ladies out there are interested in singing a cappella women's 4-part harmony, please contact me and Anita, and I guarantee you, you're going to be singing on stage one of these days. Thank you, Anita. Well, good morning and welcome, everyone. As Sergio told you, I am Hilda Garza de Shezo, and I am the Secretary of the Hidalgo County Republican Party. You know, they asked me to talk about being a Republican in Hidalgo County and some of the issues that those of us who are conservatives have had to deal with. But I want to tell you that I have been a Republican all my life. It didn't take an epiphany. It didn't take an eye-opening experience or a walk-away for me to be a Republican. I always knew that the right was right for me. But I will tell you this, when I've gone to barbecues and parties, as soon as they find out I'm a Republican, pues me quitan el chicken plate. And in a hurry, too. Early on, I was a peripheral member of the college Republicans. I was a commuter student. I had to work, and I had to pay my way through college. So I didn't have a lot of time for meetings and events. But I was, even back then, a member of the college Republicans. So those of you young Republicans, a long time ago, we were there too. My being a Republican has not always been real easy, but it's always been right. I was one of the few conservative teachers on my campus. And I'll tell you this, I used to have a teacher that taught in a classroom near me, and I could always tell when his kids came to my English class, I think he taught history or something, I forget, because of their comments. And I thought, oh, gee, they got a dose of Mr. So-and-so. And the minute they walk in, they were going to get a dose of me. And they got a dose of me in a very objective, sensible, and logical manner. And they got it, and they got it right. As an administrator, I once had a teacher, you know, we used to recruit teachers from up north because we had a teacher shortage. So I had a teacher one time say to me, gee, Ms. DeShazo, I didn't know you were a Republican. You don't look like one. And I thought, well, what am I supposed to look like? I am a Hispanic, right? As a politician, when I ran for school board, I would get comments like, we know you're a Republican, but this is a nonpartisan race, so we'll vote for you. But the minute you put that R next to your name, well, that's something else. So that was not an uncommon thing. I remember I was invited to a party one time, a campaign party for a friend of mine who was running for judge on the D ticket. When I walked in, room full of women, and I went to the desk to check in, I heard the ladies say, ¿Ya llegó la republicana? And I turned around and I said, así es. And I walked right in. Thank you. I used to be one of the young GOP women, okay? Girls, I used to be one of the young GOP women. I was guided and mentored by older women like Dottie Egger, Alida Hernandez, Carol Crosby, Cherie Vosberg, and my friend Cynthia Bebon, who told me that she became a Republican after she worked for Mark White, the governor of Texas at that time. How I wish that these other ladies were here with us today, because they would see how far our party has gone, how much we have advanced, and I know they would be so pleased. When I look around today, when I look at all of you here today and events like these, I believe that today is the future of Hidalgo County, the Republican Party in Hidalgo County. Today is the tomorrow of the Republican Party in Hidalgo County. All of you here are the spirit, the heart, and the body of the Hidalgo County Republican Party. And it makes me so proud, so hopeful, and so confident that red is right for Hidalgo County. So please repeat after me. Thank you. Please repeat after me. Red is right. Ready? Let's do it. Red is right. Thank you. And God bless Texas and God bless America.
It's going to take a lot of people to work the ground, do door knocking, phone calling, help with fundraisers, continue the push to provide some political competition in Hidalgo County among the teams, aside from our precinct chairs, the Republican women, the Republican teens, or the young Republicans who are going to provide a lot of muscle and sweat equity for our candidates. I want to introduce Joaquim Hernandez, Texas Young Republican Vice Chair. Joaquim.
Good morning. I'm actually surprised that he didn't make fun of me right now. My name is Joaquim Hernandez. I'm the vice chair of the Texas Young Republican Federation. And I just want to take a couple minutes and share with you some thoughts. I grew up in a pastor's home. My dad's a pastor, been a pastor for over 30 years. So there's a lot of expectations. You know, you're either supposed to be the holiest child in the church, or as a pastor's kid, you're probably the worst one in the church, right? But there's expectations and then there's reality. After a couple years, picked up the drums, picked up the guitar, picked up the keyboard. Then I started playing on the band, and I started leading the worship in church. And then I took on a role for a short stint to lead the youth group at the church. But I don't think anyone ever really counted on me breaking expectations, you know, to be either the holiest or the worst kid. But the reality was that I fear God and I want to serve God. And in 2014, I joined the Hidalgo County Young Republicans, the local chapter of our state's federation, because I wanted to get involved and make a difference in my community. And true to its namesake, Hidalgo, this group is made up of God-fearing men and women who are speaking up against bad government, specifically corruption and massive voter fraud. More times than not, the opposition has tried to shut us up by reporting our page, threatening our livelihoods. And I'll give you a couple examples of liberal privilege and how we are crushing liberal privilege and the expectations among millennial Latinos. Liberal privilege is our state representatives in Hidalgo and Cameron County leaving on a private jet to avoid dealing with voter fraud in our region. Liberal privilege is not having to campaign because all they have to do is buy an election and get dead people to vote. Liberal privilege is getting people fired for disagreeing with a sitting state senator. And liberal privilege is calling the cops to detain someone on the opposing campaign for legally carrying a handgun in a public place. But you know what? This year, all of us as Latinos on the border, the Democrats expected us or expected to count on our vote. They did not expect what happened. So we shattered their expectations, and the reality is now that there is an army in Hidalgo County in South Texas ready to take the fight to the Democrats in 2022, and I'm happy you guys are here. Because that army is us. So stay engaged. If you want to get involved, become a precinct chair, volunteer as a poll watcher or an election judge, get involved with the Republican Party. If you're 18 to 40 years old, get involved with the Young Republicans and join the fight, and let's make a difference in Hidalgo County. You guys have a great morning. Thank you.
All these folks coming up to the podium today is more than just trying to fill a little bit of time before we present the main speaker. These are key folks that you really should take time to meet, spend some time with. There are a lot of courageous individuals, some faces I recognize, and if I did the whole political thing, I like to recognize the chairman of this and recognize the precinct commissioner of that or whatever, it'd just be too long, because I know we all came here to enjoy some breakfast and meet our friend, Don Jr. But I want to take just 30 seconds. I'm going to ask, because I see Dr. G right here in front of me, other folks. If you ran for political office recently, you have filed to run for any political office or will be running for political office, school board, city hall, county, state rep, state senate, U.S. Congress, I would like for you to please stand up briefly to be recognized. And I want to say thank you on behalf of go ahead, Dr. G, you're one of them. You guys ran for office, have filed or will be running for office. Please stand. Courageous individuals, and they do take a lot of flack and criticism and hate, because the tolerant left, that's what they do best, is hate. But I want to thank all you courageous candidates for running. And among them, I want to introduce to you right now someone who, when swimming upstream, I remember as chairman, the closest, and you guys correct me, yell at me if I get this wrong, I think the closest we ever got in Congress District 15, I want to say maybe it was 16 or maybe 14, because usually the state races are the ones that are a little closer. But I think we got within, correct me if I'm wrong now, either 6 percentage points from the Democrat in Congress 15. I'll let you hear from Monica de la Cruz Hernandez how close we got in the last Congressional District 15 election. Monica Cruz Hernandez.
Thank you so much. You know what? Sergio, these people worked so hard, I have to say, because it was 100 volunteers over here that we actually got within 2.8%. And that's because of you right there. So give yourselves a big round of applause. You know, most of you all know me as the candidate for U.S. Congress, District 15, but I want you all to know who I am. I am a mother of 3. And previous to running for this office, I was at the Friday night football games. I was passing out snacks on a Saturday morning at a soccer game. I was the mom that had the proud volleyball mom shirt on at the volleyball games. You know, that's what I did, was just be there for my children. You know, in 2018, my son actually was accepted into the Duke Tips program. I was so proud, like most mothers, and we were invited to the Duke University so that he could get to know the admissions there. We got to Duke, and there's a big, beautiful Methodist church. You see, I had done some research and knew that it was founded on Christian Methodist values. And when we got there and got the tour, to my surprise, they said, "Oh, that's just like a museum. We don't really do anything there." And I thought, don't do anything there? That's a church. Well, we ended up going to Agnes Scott in Georgia for a 1 week camp for my son. And you know, when we get there, I gave my teenage son $100. Now, do any of y'all have teenagers? Probably, right? Do you get change back when you give your kids money? No, not usually, right? So at the end of the camp, I see my son and I said, "How was it?" And he says, "Oh, it was so exciting, Mom." I said, "Was it? Tell me about it." He goes, "Well," and he starts talking and he goes, "Here's your money." Gives me the full $100 back. And I said, you're giving me all my money back?" He said, "Yes." I said, "You didn't even spend the money at the bookstore?" He goes, "No, Mom." I said, "Well, why not?" And he gets very emotional and he tells me, "Mom, you're not going to like this, Mom. You're just not going to like this, but I really like the camp." And I said, "Well, tell me, what happened, son?" He said, "Well, they had a book there and it said The Real National Hero." And I said, That's fantastic. Did it talk about Pearl Harbor and our veterans? No, Mom. Did it talk about our policemen and women? No, Mom. Well, what was it about, son? He said, it was Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the flag. And I said, oh, well, you know how we feel about that, son. And he said, yes, Mom. He goes, and it gets worse. I said, what do you mean it gets worse? Now, Agnes Scott was built on Presbyterian Christian values. So again, I had done my research and I said, these are the institutions that I want to send him to. And so we go and he goes, well, the next book was Meet My New Sister. And I said, oh, well, we're a blended family. That's fantastic. A stepsister. We know all about that, right? He goes, no, Mom, that's not exactly what it was. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he says, well, meet my new sister. Like it was the little boy brother and now it's the little sister brother. And I said, well, you know, son, we're about people giving their expression. Beside those books, was there books about the 10 Commandments? Was there a book about Jesus dying on the cross for your sins? Was there anything like that close to these books? And he said, no, Mom. And I was really disappointed. And I said, son, you know better. You know better. And I'm going to tell you this. The reason I share that story is because that is what the liberal privilege has done to our education and to our school institutions. That is what they are doing to our kids. They are indoctrinating them into the left thinking, and they're taking Christianity out of our schools and out of our everyday life. And it is because of that liberal privilege that we must stand up, that we must continue to fight, that we must stand for our Christian principles, because we are one nation under God. And we are today and we will be tomorrow, because we are one nation under God. God bless you and God bless America.
Thank you, Patriot. More questions? Life, liberty, and property are not given to us by a king, an agency, a government, a Congress, a president. Life, liberty, and property come from the Almighty. Dear friend of mine, I tried to improve and modernize his image with the Republicans when I was chairman. Hollis Rutledge, I renamed him Hollis, Hotlis Rutledge, mentor of mine, along with Hilda, along with Jim Barnes, along with Chuck Stewart, along with former state rep Aaron Pena, who's here. Just some of the people I spoke to before I decided to take the plunge. I'm here to encourage you, friends. These are just not words. We need you. You need to run for office. You must run for office. We need you in school board. We need you precinct chair. Stick your toe in the water. Become a precinct chair at the Hidalgo County Republican office. We need you at school board. We need you at City Hall. We need you at county. We need your state rep. We need you to be on the ballot. Please consider that message. Hollis Rutledge told me there's two types of Republicans, and this is for all politics. It's either money equity or sweat equity. I want to recognize right now, before I talk a bit more about that, anyone who volunteered for this wonderful event, the stage, the setup, the sound, the food, the tables. I know it took a lot of volunteers to get this beautiful event to take place, of which we need a lot more. I'm going to ask you to stand up right now. Please be recognized. I want to say thank you to all the young Republicans, teen Republicans, precinct chairs, all the sweet people, hardworking people who make this beautiful event possible this morning. I'm just seconds away from introducing our chairwoman for Hidalgo County Republican office. Thank you. You may have a seat. Now, some of y'all are going to be the money equity to support strong candidates, viable candidates for District 15, District 34, State Rep 41. We got a lot of fight. We have a lot of battles that we still need to fight. We're just getting started. Some of y'all are the money equity. Some of y'all are the sweat equity. Block walking, phone calling, sending out mailers. It's a lot of work. Please, please get involved. You have a permanent Hidalgo County Republican Party HQ. It's in McAllen. It's on 23rd Street. Stop by, say hello, sip some coffee, and meet Adrian Peña Garza, our Hidalgo County GOP chairwoman. Adrian.
Good morning, Hidalgo County, South Texas. If this doesn't electrify you, I don't know what will. Wow. I'm taken back. Amazing. And to think there are Democrats here that say that there are not Republicans in Hidalgo County. Completely blown away when I step back, and think about how much we've accomplished together. It's also somewhat overwhelming when I think about how much more we have to do. Before I introduce to you someone that needs no introduction, I'd like to take a brief moment to encourage you to get involved. You don't have to have all the answers to help. You don't need to have all the time in the world either, but you do need to commit to do more. Begin where you are with what you have. That's really all we've done here. Not happy with your elected officials? Join a campaign. Worried about voter integrity? Sign up to be an election judge or clerk. Not only will you be overseeing and protecting our sacred elections, but it's also a paying job. Look for us on Google, Hidalgo County Republican Party, and you'll find our office hours. Let us know that you want to get involved. You can also help us reach and visibility. Connecting with our community is a top priority. We must let the purple voters know that we're here and encourage more walkaways, not complacency. Republicans and conservatives and independents along the southern border want political balance. We want nothing more than to support our Border Patrol agents and law enforcement officers. Think about it. What happens when we only have one party controlling a region? Or continues to aggressively bring policies to the left? Yeah, there may be a few exceptions. I'm not going to deny that. But if we don't fight for checks and balances, we will begin to look like Cuba. Please pull out your phones. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. Sign up and subscribe to our website, www.hidalgocountygop.us. If you don't, you won't be invited to events like this. Now, on to liberal privilege. For years, conservatives have been bullied and ostracized here, silenced politically and targeted personally. But today, we are organized, disciplined, resilient, and growing at a rapid pace. A match was lit and a fire is ablaze, and we cannot let it go out. What helped us was freedom and liberty found in speaking up and coming together. Beyond politics, there's a spiritual warfare, and nothing upsets the left more than us organizing and serving our community. Instead of discussing their shady dealings of threatening my life, blaming racism on my father, Aaron Peña, who was a state representative for 10 years before he walked away, who was targeted and still is. Or repeat the names that they call me or love to call me, like coconut or self-hater. Yeah. I'm going to do what triggers them the most and discuss the national attention that we received here from the 2020 election. With the help of the grassroots, President Trump, candidates like Jaime Tejerina, who was victorious, Monica de la Cruz Hernandez, who was 2 points shy, the New York Times article that spread worldwide. We must continue to highlight brave individuals that helped us get where we are today. Everyday people with the courage to be themselves, speak up for religious freedom, inspire others, and yes, go against the grain. Candidates like Mayra Flores and Dr. Guerra, and many more to come. We must challenge the status quo and continue the message that resonates here. Options on the ballot and freedom, ladies and gentlemen, freedom. Like Saul from P-Nail Salon in Far, Texas, who supported Trump and still does. He wears his Trump shirt proudly without fear of persecution. And today, he's sitting in the front row. Not only does he make women look beautiful, but he's also an intellect that understands where our country is heading. Please be bold like Saul and make sure that you get your t-shirts on your way out. We also have back the blue flags and back the green flags. They can't cancel us if we don't let them. And don't ever give them the narrative. Real change starts in our homes, in our families, and in our communities. There is a plethora of work left to do. My hope is that we will continue to do what we love without fear and not ever forget that we are standing on the shoulders of giants. What kind of country do you want to leave your children and theirs? Liberal Privilege is an excellent book that gave us all the warning signs. Don Jr. is a family man and a staunch Second Amendment supporter and a true believer in America First policies. He also has no problem calling it like he sees it. It must run in the family. Please join me in welcoming Donald Trump Jr. to South Texas. Arriba, Tejanos for Trump!
It's showtime.
Well done. Well done.
Yo sé bien que estoy afuera, pero el día en que yo me muera, sé que tendrán que llorar. Dice, dirás que no me quisiste, pero vas a estar muy triste y así te vas a quedar. Let's all join. Con dinero y sin dinero, yo hago siempre lo que quiero y mi palabra es la ley. No tengo trono ni reina, ni nadie quien me comprenda, pero Donald Trump Jr. sigue siendo el rey. All right, baby. Vamos a ver. Una piedra en el camino me enseñó que mi destino era rodar y rodar. También me dijo un arriero que no hay que llegar primero, pero hay que saber llegar. Con dinero y sin dinero, yo hago siempre lo que quiero y mi palabra es la ley. No tengo trono ni reina, ni nadie quien me comprenda, pero sigo siendo el rey. Sí, señor. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Wow. I got to have them open up for me all over the place. It would drive the liberals crazy. I mean, imagine the reaction. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much, guys. That was incredible. And Adrian, thank you for the other introduction. And Hidalgo GOP, thank you for having me here. Now, there's a lot we have to talk about, right? Because what's going on down here in Texas is incredible. We're seeing a transformation like we've never seen before because people are finally waking up to the truth about what's going on. Now, I would talk about the crisis at the border. I would, but Kamala Harris last week said that it was all Donald Trump's fault. So I guess I can't do it because that must be true. right? She said that when she visited the border, about 1,000 miles away up in El Paso, because she can't actually go visit the true crisis. She can't be bothered with that because she knows that she has a mainstream media that will say exactly what she tells them to say. So when she says, it was Donald Trump's fault, they say, wow, that's weird. Okay, it's his fault. Let's stick with that soundbite. But Donald Trump, as a non-president, as a former president now, actually got this administration to act more than they've done in the 6 months that they've been in office. When Donald Trump announced he was coming right here, finally, she had to actually step up and do her job. Now, it was a quick photo op, miles from the border, 900 miles from the vast majority of the cages that who built? But that didn't matter. So you see what we have going on. Are there any Border Patrol guys here? If you can, I don't know if you're allowed to be vocal about it, but if not, thank you guys for all of the incredible work that you guys do. You guys are the front lines. I mean, what's going on right now is a humanitarian crisis. It's a crisis for our children with all the drugs that have been smuggled over the border, right? I got fact-checked for talking about it, and then they say, well, we've pulled over record amounts of fentanyl in the last couple of months, but I can't talk about it, right? Because it's all about narrative. Now, we've seen this consistently over the last couple of years and couple of months. You notice how narrative, misinformation is only enforced one way? You guys have been seeing that. You've been on the front lines of that yourself. And that's why you're having a resurgence of real conservative values in this part of the state, because people see it with their own eyes. Like when the Biden administration tells you, no, you saved 16 cents on your 4th of July barbecue. First of all, they think you're stupid, right? I mean, 16 cents you saved. Only problem is if you got in your car and drove about 6 feet. I mean, you're in South Texas, so you got big trucks, so 4 feet. That 16 cents was gone, right? Now, I posted a picture the other day of me shooting some 9mm into a plywood backing, and they say, stop pretending you're a rich guy. I go, because if you've bought plywood or lumber in the last couple of years, you realize that's a lie. If you've filled up, if you've gone to the actual supermarket, if you've seen what's going on in inflation, you realize it's all nonsense. But it doesn't stop them from selling that nonsense. And that's the fight we're in. That's why what Adrian's doing here is so important. We're not on an equal battlefield. Not for values, not for ideas. Now, our ideas are better. Our stuff is based in fact and common sense, but we are up against a mainstream media, social media, and big tech that is literally functioning as the marketing arm of the other side. You think this extremism that we're seeing from this administration, you think it just stops now? Well, they got some wins, they're going to stop. It only gets worse, folks. Look at the last 2 weeks. The 3 big things that I've seen. You had the FBI come out and say, here's how to sell out your family. Watch for extremism. Now, I have a feeling the extremism only revolves around people who may be conservative. They may believe in their Second Amendment rights. Because that same FBI had no interest in looking at rioting, at looting, at arson, at murder. For 18 months, that was happening all across America. Now, if your grandmother was anywhere near D.C., if your abuelo was somewhere in the Washington, D.C. area, like within a 1,000-mile radius, they're probably knocking on her door to make sure she's not an extremist, a radical, right? That's a bigger threat than ISIS. Your grandma. That's what they're telling us. You think that stops there? What about the White House? Well, we're working very closely with Facebook to tell them who is spreading misinformation and not. Wow, that's interesting. So Jen Psaki, when she tweeted about
Hunter Biden's laptop and saying that it was Russian disinformation? Is Facebook going to remove her platform? How about Adam Schiff and the congressional Democrats who talked about Russia collusion for 4 years as though it was gospel? Remember? I have seen the evidence with my own eyes. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting, folks. I did 30 hours of congressional testimony about evidence they claimed they saw. No one else has seen it yet. They must be saving it for when it's a really good press day. How many times do we see that, right? Again, I got to experience it myself. I thought it was bad before my father went to Washington, D.C. I now realize how ridiculous it really was, right? So I did 30 hours of testimony. Hunter Biden, you remember the laptop? What do you guys would think? Do you think if it was Don Jr.'s laptop, do you think you'd have all of the... No, it's Russian disinformation. Okay, if it's Russian disinformation, why aren't they denying it? Because now, call me crazy, I'm a thinking human being. If it was fake, you'd probably just come out and say it's fake. But they didn't want to go on the record saying that because it wasn't fake, right? Now, in that laptop, let's call it, there were about 50 to 60 totally degenerate things, right? Let's go through a couple of them. Do you think the media and the DC elite would give Donald Trump Jr. a pass for photos of him smoking crack? I don't think so. I don't think I'd get the benefit of the doubt on that one. Do you think Don Jr. would be able to take $1 billion investment from the Chinese government? Do you think if it was Don Jr., the Chinese would give $1 billion to a crackhead? No, they only do that when they're buying you, and they know that you can be bought. Do you think that Donald Trump Jr. could become an artist overnight? What? I'm very artistic. I can get my AR-15, I can shoot a smiley face into something, and apparently if you're Hunter Biden, you can sell it. I'm told that the market for the son of a president is like $500,000 for that piece of art. But you're not allowed to disclose who the buyers are. That's also called a bribe. But only one way. Again, I have a feeling that if I was trying to sell art for $500,000, having never painted before in my life, like Hunter, it would be a problem. Just so you understand, last week, a Picasso, right? Pablo Picasso, sold for $150,000. Hunter Biden selling for $500,000 a piece of art, or multiple. And the White House says, you can't disclose who the buyers are. Why? Do you think that if I had emails with corrupt foreign partners that said, no, we got to make sure there's 10% for the big guy? Well, we're not really sure who the big guy is. It could be anyone. Definitely not the guy there's a photograph with right before the meeting who happened to be the vice president. Definitely not him. Who are we kidding, folks? This is what's going on day in and day out. And again, when you have that kind of unbalance, when you have a mainstream media outlet, when you have social media, literally trillion-dollar industries working against you, it's why you need this kind of engagement. It's why we need this kind of involvement, because you guys see it with your own eyes. And I get it. It's not easy. It's not easy to come out as a conservative. There are consequences to coming out as a conservative. You don't get away with the stuff that they see on the other side. But we have to do it, because the values and the ideals that we believe in are in total jeopardy right now. Right? Free speech in America is not so free anymore. The White House said it this week. They are literally going to collude with The public companies, they're public, they can do whatever they want. Oh, really? But you're telling them who to ban and who not to ban. Again, are they going to ban CNN? Well, I mean, but they lied for 4 years about Russia collusion. What about MSDNC? They going to ban them? Are they going to ban, again, the congressional Democrats? No. But I have a feeling they're going to ban anyone who said anything conservative. Anyone who questions it. Remember, what are the other ones they lied about? Let's bring it a little bit more forward. How about Anthony Fauci? Are they going to ban, I'm going to say doctor in quotes, because I don't know how this guy became a doctor, right? Bureaucrat in a lab coat. He is better at throwing a baseball than he is at science. Am I wrong? I'd like to see them fact check that one. Right? Because he told us a lot of things were gospel. He is an epidemiologist, and you are to listen to him. And if you don't, you're killing your grandmother. Remember that one? But it's weird. I have now since read his emails, and what he's saying to his colleagues in medicine, or the facts that he's choosing to ignore, don't line up with the facts that got him on TV. Because it seems that he was more concerned about being on TV because he's never met a camera he didn't love than actually talking about the things that matter, right? He had no problem shutting down your schools, your churches, your business. Well, it was all optics. We had to do. Why? Well, children are at risk. You're going to kill children. 99.997 survival rate. Well, what about the 0.03, Don? What about the 0.03? It's like, how many of those had some sort of serious pre-existing condition? You think maybe, in a thinking world, you could have just said, hey, if you have something seriously wrong with you, maybe you should actually isolate. Not everyone else for the sake of isolation, for the sake of pseudoscience. But boy, do these Democrats, they love their power. And we gave it to them, guys. We rolled over and listened, but I think maybe in the end, their actions over the last 18 months will show us exactly what they're all about. It's power, right? You see it in LA County, right? Los Angeles County, I think it's the largest county in America. On Thursday afternoon announced, there's a spike of corona cases, not of death or hospitalization. That was just, barely statistically different, right? There's a spike. We are instituting the indoor mask mandate. With or without a vaccine, it doesn't matter. But guys, I was told that if you had a vaccine, you're okay. Are you a science denier? Is LA County, are they anti-vaxxers? Because that's not what we were told for so long, right? And by the way, I'm wondering, you announced something like that on Thursday, and it's so serious. It's so important because people are going to die if we don't do this. Why'd you wait till Saturday night to institute it? Because if I'm dealing with an emergency, I don't wait 3 days. Call me crazy. Like, if I'm dealing with an emergency, you deal with it right now. Who here thinks that right around the time of midterms, there will be another major spike that will require a lot of mail-in voting so that we can have the safest and most secure elections ever again, right? Right? We have Delta variant now. By then, I'm going to call it the Beta Sierra variant. Yes, the BS variant. It's going to be very dangerous. You're going to have to stay at home, and that's how they're going to control us. So again, guys, that's why we need to band together, because literally everything's at threat right now. You notice how this week as well, I mean, this has sort of been a big week for proving our points. The things that if you're in this room and you're into this stuff, you probably are way ahead of on the curve. But a lot of your friends, your neighbors, people who don't consume this stuff day in and day out, right? They're consuming 5 minutes of news a day, maybe. And I get it. They're working hard. They're trying to feed their families. I get that. So they're still believing the nonsense. You guys got to speak to them, make sure they understand what's really going on, right? I watched the Biden administration this week, along with Secretary Billiken, say, we are not taking any refugees from Cuba. Why? I mean, you want open border policy with Mexico. Why not Cuba? I mean, they're being shot at in the streets by their own government. I would think, and again, I'm going out on a limb here, I would think that if you're being shot at by a tyrannical government, that would at least be grounds for asylum. Now, they have no problem granting asylum to people who just say, hey, I want to go there for the free stuff, which we see, right? So the border here, let's open it up. You guys have the privilege of paying for everyone's education, for their free health care, and your kids, so you get to double pay. But people who are actually fleeing an oppressive regime, who are being shot at, they're not welcome. Do you think maybe that has to do with the fact that maybe those people who have lived under socialism and communism may not just blindly vote for Democrats? I mean, Bernie Sanders, AOC, all these people who talk so much about how wonderful socialism is, they're really silent on this. Right? Remember the Obama administration? Cuba's an incredible model. They have free health care. They have free education. Strange. Why would they be marching in the streets? They have it so good. They've been telling us this stuff for 12 years, folks, right? They should be grateful. Some 12-year-old who's regurgitating what their Marxist teacher told them about the virtues of communism and socialism should go lecture some of these people. We should get Colin Kaepernick on a plane and he can go over to Cuba and tell them how lucky they are. But remember, guys, according to the White House, they're not marching in the streets because they're sick of living under an oppressive regime. They're marching in the streets because of a lack of COVID-19 vaccines. Really? You heard them say it. I'm not making this up, right? I mean, is anyone this stupid anymore, folks? Yes, you're right. That's right. See, that's a trick question. Yes, they are. There are Democrats that, obviously. You know, the same people that could be out in their backyard 1,000 yards away from another human being and are wearing 7 masks. They exist, folks. I've seen it. It's nuts. But you see, they are literally pushing these communist ideals on us in America. And when I do this, the liberals go crazy. What do you know about it? You're the son of a billionaire from Manhattan. I go, that's true, but my mother escaped from communism. My mother grew up and was born in communist Czechoslovakia at the time, now the Czech Republic. She escaped because she was a good athlete. She came to Canada on the Czech ski team, and she never went back. Growing up as a kid, I used to wonder, I saw my parents' wedding picture, and my grandfather was in the picture, but not my grandmother, and I asked why. Well, they let him leave the country to walk his daughter down the aisle, but they wouldn't let both of them out because they knew no one was ever coming back. Seems like a wonderful system. We should bring this stuff here. My grandparents taught me an incredible lesson. You know, they were very involved in bringing us up. And when they came here, and there's, again, separately, they saw the incredible freedoms that we have in America. They saw what we were blessed with here. And they said, you're going to learn how good you have it, Don. I spoke Czech really young, 3 years old, spoke fluent. From 5 years old, they took me to communist Czechoslovakia every summer so that I could wait in those bread lines. I can assure you there's nothing glamorous about them, despite what someone who's never lived in another system will tell you. I would gladly take some of those freedom-loving Cubans in exchange for some of our teenage socialist Marxists any day. Now, it's sort of interesting because we've heard so much about the American flag and how terrible it is. It's a symbol of white supremacy. And it's sort of interesting when I see these freedom-loving people in Cuba waving it. I mean, how dare they wave a symbol of white supremacy and oppression? Strange, I saw the same thing 18 months ago during the Hong Kong riots, right? They're waving an American flag. How dare they? Or, again, maybe we're just being lied to. Maybe it's a universal symbol of freedom and of liberty. But only we're dumb enough to try to label it otherwise. So that's what's at stake, folks. Everything. You've seen it now. I think Joe Biden's legacy will be, he will show Americans how great Donald Trump really was. Because there's not much else, guys. I'd like to thank him because he's doing a phenomenal job. No, I mean, look no further than right here, right? In this county, you're seeing a red wave because people are waking up. When it gets bad, that's when people start looking, right? That's when people start get interested. I'm going to get interested in politics all of a sudden because it's affecting them each and every day. You see a humanitarian crisis going on right here. No one thinks it's Donald Trump's fault because for 4 years, there was no crisis here. You see what's going on, again, in the Middle East. Strange. We got peace deals done, and it's falling apart in weeks. You have a vice president that's put in charge of a crisis that can't be bothered to actually show up. And again, I have to clarify that because if someone puts it out, I'll get canceled. She showed up to Texas. She showed up about 900 and something miles away from the actual crisis, but she got the photo up, so she gets full credit. You don't get that benefit. So people ask, Don, why do you do this stuff? It'd be really easy, just go back to be a real estate guy from Manhattan, and I can assure you, it's not a great business move to be a vocal conservative fighting for freedom, fighting for religious liberty, fighting for the Second Amendment as a real estate developer from Manhattan. But guys, isn't it time? Don't we eventually just all have to stand up and say enough is enough? I think Donald Trump did us all a big favor. He opened the door to those who aren't just in politics to say, hey, maybe I got to get in the game. The lesson that he taught us is that we can do this. The other lesson that he taught us is we have to do it together. Okay, if we have one guy taking the lead and going out and breaking rank and taking them on, they can target all the slings and all the arrows at that individual. And they can take them out. They can do that to the president of the free world. But if we get together and all have the guts, they cannot cancel 150 million of us. We just have to have the guts to be out there. We have to have the guts to be in the game. We can do that nicely. We can do it with facts because they are on our side, guys. Logic, reason, that's gone out the window on a daily basis. The hypocrisy knows no bounds. The double standards know no bounds. But we have to do this because what we have here is worth fighting for. Our children, our religion, our freedom, our future, all of it is worth fighting for, but we cannot do it alone. It's why we need all of you guys here, and it's why for me to see this kind of crowd on a Sunday morning, it's just absolutely awesome because it means that we're making a difference. It means we're moving the needle, and you guys are a part of that. So make sure you guys get the rest of the county on board. Hey, you're the front lines on so many of these issues, right? I mean, this is the same Border Patrol guys I thank. Make sure you thank them. The human trafficking that they're stopping, the drug trafficking that they're stopping, I mean, that's not just a local problem here. That spreads throughout the rest of the country, and you are the front line. So stay involved, stay in the game, and keep fighting. So thank you so much, Hidalgo. I really appreciate you guys having me here. It's just awesome. And if you guys keep working, I promise I'll come back to help you guys win some more, okay? Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Awesome.
A mí no me asustan tipos de lengua larga que solo presumen por apantallar. Yo soy de los hombres que no temen nada y aunque esté perdido no me sé racar. ¡Ea! ¡Sí, señor! Si tus pretendientes quieren que me muera, yo te lo aseguro que los burlaré. Yo seré tu dueño aunque no lo quieras, y el que se atraviese te los quitaré. Mañana sin falta aquí estaré presente, ya sabes la hora, no me quedes mal. De lo que te dije, no tengas pendiente, solo Dios la vida me puede quitar. A mí no me asustan tipos lenguas largas que solo presumen por apantallar. Yo soy de los hombres que no temen nada y aunque esté perdido no me sé racar.